Greetings everyone, my name is Etterville, and welcome back to my Let's Play of Mega Man Rock Force. In the last part, I defeated Virus Man and thus unlocked the 4 new Fusion Robot Masters that were added in the latest update of this title. Compared to the original 4 Fusion Robot Masters, these ones are more focused on puzzles and gimmicks in a way. So, I'll start out by going after Warman. Now, Warman's main stage gimmick is basically, it's a escort mission of sorts. We have these giant stoppers here, which are colored blue to indicate they're allied. What you need to do is escort them to those switches over there, which can only be triggered if the stopper jumps on it. But the main problem with this is that there are all sorts of enemies trying to destroy the stopper. And these giant stoppers are less durable than a Mega Man is, so it can be a kind of a challenge to get it past all these obstacles. I mean, a Sniper Joe can easily take it out in just 7 shots at max, I believe. And of course, the team here seems to have a few of these chess pieces over here, which kind of makes sense based off of Warman's design. Especially, this is much more difficult to do in hard mode. In fact, this is kind of like a base design of sorts. We started out on Mega Man's side, indicated by the blue background, and now we're moving into the battlefield, filled with all these fighter jets from above. These fighter jets will come from the right side to the left side of the screen, dropping tons of bombs, which do quite a bit of damage upon impact, though we'll see how devious they get when I get to the escort part of this. They're already kind of finicky here in hard mode, mainly because of all these blocks sealed off. So I have to take a more cautious route. Well, this part isn't too bad. But oh, it's going to get a lot more challenging soon enough. After we reach here, we get sealed off and have to fight these 2 hostile stompers, which I completely make fools out of by using the circuit breaker. Here's where things start to get really challenging. We have the same fighter jets from above, but the problem is now we have to escort this blue stomper to the right side without taking too much damage. What makes it more of a problem is the fact there's so many enemies here, mainly the Sniper Joes, of course. Which are in much higher density compared to easy mode, or easy and normal mode. And combined with the fact you have to avoid these fighter jets, it makes it quite a bit of a challenge. Thankfully though, you can stop and start the stomper by just shooting it with any of the projectiles. So that's pretty nice. And thankfully these Sniper Joes do not have shields on them, otherwise this would be even more of a nightmare to take care of. Because without the shields, I can now destroy them with basically any attack, other than having to use things like the pulse stopper or explosive weaponry to penetrate their shields. Alright, now we're in the red base of Warman's stage. I like the theme of this stage where we're going from the blue base, which is Mega Man's, which is teamed using Mega Busters in the background, to Warman's red themed background, which has a lot of chess pieces and other ornamental designs in the background, combined with the huge battlefield in the middle with all those hostile fighter jets. In fact, we crossed a room which was an intersection of red to blue, indicating that we were moving into hostile territory, which also acted like a midpoint as a checkpoint. So, very nice attention to detail there. To dodge this bombing run, I decided to just use the Charade clone. I feel like the bombing runs are come much more often on harder difficulties, though that may be just me. Here's the next segment. The problem here is because of all the Sniper Joes coming in, you can get sniped by them. And if you walk too far off screen, it'll respawn as such. And yeah, this didn't really work out too well. This took about 5 attempts to get working, as in previous attempts it either got destroyed by the bombing run, all these Sniper Joes, or it fell into a pit. Or I died from all this damage. But I do like the theme of this gimmick of this stage. It's essentially an escort mission where you can turn on and turn off your escort with all sorts of obstacles, and with a lot of scouting ahead and backwards so you can kill off the enemies without getting killed off by yourself. You can destroy the bombing ship, that fighter jet, by using the photon flare and other attacks where you point upwards, though it's not really that reliable if you can't aim it correctly or time it right. Alright, time to go after Warman. In a second. Now, Warman is, I would say, one of the slower robot masters to fight, similar to Nightman. In essence, what you have to do is you have to get close to him, close enough to his shield, stay there, and then he'll either do an upward swing or a downward strike, and he'll telegraph this. Thankfully though, at any difficulty, I believe, if you stand next to him and he doesn't begin to release a strike, he will not walk into you. Unfortunately, the problem is though his jumping pattern is a little bit random, so you don't want to get cornered into the room, so make sure to stand in front of him for just enough period and get ready to quickly react, as his sword swings are very damaging. After a while, he'll do a series of 3 downward stabs where you have to basically slide under it in order to damage him, or in order to avoid being damaged. Though, because his shield is dropped at that period, you can damage him that way. So, yeah, I didn't really do this battle well. I did it quite sloppily, as if I did this the correct way, I would be standing in front of him a lot more times, and taking him on that way, and not getting trapped against the side of the rooms with his sword swing coming my way. But overall, not too bad as long as you get used to his pattern. He is more random on the hard mode compared to easy normal, so keep that in mind. His weakness is Nightman's Night Crush, as well as the Crypt Cloak. What I did over there was I went to the shop to restock on E-tanks and upgrade my energy balancer. So now, not only will it recharge my energy, my lowest weapon energy, it will also recharge all the other weapons for that same amount of energy. So that's pretty nice. So now we're continuing on to Portman stage, the most heavily puzzle-focused stage of the new Fusion Robot Masters. And this is also the reason why there are only going to be 2 Fusion Robot Master run-throughs in this part, because Portman stage took over 12 minutes to complete, due to the slow nature of this stage. Basically, the main gimmick of this stage is all these, well, there are 2 parts. There are these blue and red ports that come down and turn on these, basically platforms, where otherwise you'd fall right through. Well, technically 3 mechanics, but I'll get to there soon enough. And another important thing as shown over there is that you can slide right through those ports when they're falling and you won't be knocked back. That'll be important for later. The second gimmick here is this teal circle object. It's basically a key of sorts. On the top left, I cannot go up the ladder because it's being blocked by that block. In order to unlock that, what I need to do is get that teal circle into that teal bubble to the left, or teal circle on the left. Once it goes over there, it'll unlock the door, and I can continue on to the next part of the stage. This quickly becomes more and more of a challenge as it gets combined with these ports of sorts, or pins. I'll call them with port generators. In easy and normal mode, you only need to worry about the blue port generators. But in hard mode, like I'm showing here, you have to worry about these red port generators. They work the same way as the blue port generators, but the main challenge with them is that after a certain while, they'll fire 2 shots, one to the left and one to the right, which makes dodging shots from all the enemies even more challenging. And finally, here's the third gimmick of this stage. Over here we have these teleporters, where if you go into them, it'll teleport you into that background object there. As shown here, you basically teleport into a computer system of sorts. And instead of being Mega Man, you're basically now a head symbol of Mega Man, where it basically turns into a top-down shooter of sorts, where you can move in all 4 directions, or all 8 directions, and you don't have a shot limit to worry about. Unfortunately, you cannot use any special weapons in this area. In fact, if you play as a Rock Force member in this area, if you go into there, you'll lose the special weapon they use, and instead will be reduced to using the Mega Buster. Even though your color scheme will change if you switch weapons in this port area, you will still be using the Mega Buster pellets. Although, interestingly enough, if you charge a Mega Buster shot while going into that portal, when you go out, get out of that port area, you'll release the Mega Buster shot immediately afterwards. So that's pretty nice to take a note of. Over here is where the challenge starts to increase. Don't drop off the ladder while falling, you'll die. Now here's a combination of another challenge. We have to, these teal circle or key openers can actually go into the portals as well. So what you need to do here is basically push it so it can go into the next portal and follow it there. Although I find it odd that there's no shot limit for Mega Man when he's in the segments. Which basically means you can fire as fast as the frame rate allows you to. I can imagine how tasters, tool-assisted speedrunners, or people with very fast auto hotkeys or button mashing fingers can do in this segment. I can imagine so much hilarity. Alright, here's where the segment I was talking about where it gets more problematic and knockback becomes important. Normally here, what you could do is go as Mega Man, jump on those ladders, and you won't get knocked off if you touch them. You'll just take some damage. However, because I want to avoid taking damage, because I had somewhat low health, I just used a Charade clone in order to avoid it. Unfortunately, those are much more of a problem if you're playing on instant death mode, where every attack is instant death. We are forced to basically use things like the Charade clone or the pulse stopper in order to not get killed. Combined with the fact with all those hard mode green orbs flying up and down, it becomes much more of a challenge. Here's where all three gimmicks get mixed in, or two of the gimmicks get mixed in with each other. Here I made a serious mistake. What you're supposed to be doing is you're supposed to push that teal circle onto that platform that you generate by going under those port generators. Or port platform generators. And yeah, that enemy from Virus Man stage is still as annoying as it was before. Fitting, really. Well, not really fitting. Well, anyway, it's fitting because Port Man is a fusion of Circuit and Charade Man. Alright, what you're supposed to do here is push this teal circle over those two port generators, the blue and red one. Go back to the left once I kill the Sniper Joe. Go all the way back to the left so that the port generators can respawn. Now force them to go down, climb all the way back up. And I was getting frustrated here, so I decided to just wait until I could, by using the pulse stopper. Or the Phantom Fuse, of course. Get back up here. Then jump over the red port that was destroyed by the teal circle earlier. And then lead it over to the next platform. Be careful so you don't need to reset this entire room. This took a few tries to get correctly, but it's not too much of a hassle as long as you take it slowly, which is the common theme of this stage. Oh yeah, it's also important to note that the teal circle will destroy those port platform generators when it rolls over them, so keep that in mind. And this is much easier to do as expected in easy normal mode, mainly because of the fact that there's no red pin enemies, which shoot back at you. And of course, these green enemies aren't as aggressive as before. Push this carefully over. Don't make it so it destroys the red one. Go back. I probably didn't need to go all the way back there, but I wanted to be a little bit safe. And yeah, got cornered again. At this point, I think it might have been a better idea. I didn't want to use the photon flare because last time I did it, I destroyed all the platform generators, and basically had to reset this whole room again. That was frustrating. At this point, I wanted to farm for some weapon energy or life energy, but it didn't really work out for me. At least I have a lot of weapons at my disposal to make this stage much easier. I feel sorry for the perfect runners who don't have the liberty of this. And at this segment, we have a combination of all three gimmicks: the teleporters, the teal circles unlocking the doors, and the port platform generators. This is basically the final room of the stage, and it's quite fitting. What you're supposed to do is, well, what I do is get into the teleporter. Oh, get the teal circle first in the teleporter. Push it in there. Push it up so it can go up to the top left teleporter. Slowly take it steady, as these, I believe, are instant death traps. Alright. Go up here, push it in there. Thankfully, the hitbox for those teleporters is much more forgiving than it seems. Get back on the ladder. As such, shoot it onto those platforms. Jump onto those platforms. Push it a little bit forward. Don't push it too close so it doesn't destroy the platform. Go jump back so you can actually make that red pin respawn afterwards. I just wanted to make sure it was respawning, as in one of my previous attempts it didn't respawn. And to do that, you basically need to go under it, so take the teleporter on the right. Just waiting for that scissor enemy to go away first. Alright, that's now set. Go back all the way, take the top left or bottom left teleporter. Redestroy the Sniper Joe again. Go back to the platform which I jumped on before. Oops, and I just accidentally destroyed the wrong platform, so I have to repeat the process again. It's not as bad as before, where I accidentally caused the teal circle to fall right into the bottom segment, meaning that I had to reset the entire room. Alright, repeat the same process as I described before. In retrospect, I could have used more explosive weaponry. Oh well. Here I wanted to use a charade clone so I wouldn't take damage from all these projectiles. Alright, now that I destroyed the right pinhole, push it into that keyhole over there. It's a little bit... hitbox can be a little bit finicky. Go in here and enter the boss gate. I was trying to get some weapon energy, or life energy, but couldn't really do it. And now, time for one of the more unique boss fights of the 4 new Fusion World Masters. Portman's fight is a combination of 2 segments. In his first segment, he'll raise 2 of these platforms which have different effects. Like this one, the one he's standing on will release a spiral of shots. The one on the bars over there will release a string of several pellets to the right, a spread shot basically in whatever direction you are. The one I was standing on releases a shockwave attack of sorts. And once I can get a visual, and the one over there on the leftmost, that'll release a shot upward of sorts. On normal and easy modes, only one of those platforms will be raised at a time, but in hard mode, 2 of them will be raised at a time. After he loses half of his health, he'll go into this Dan-Maku segment, where you teleport into the cyberspace world and need to fight him in a top-down shooter fashion. All the while he's firing all these Dan-Maku spreads. The old Dan-Maku Light, to be specific. It's quite fun, and quite different compared to the other boss fights. But once you destroy him inside, he's destroyed outside. Portman is weak against the Pulse Stopper, and also Tornado Man. But yeah, this stage took a few attempts to get done correctly, but boy, it took 12 minutes in this run by itself in order to complete. But anyways, with that out of the way, in the next part, I'll be going after Termo and Trillman. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Doodles!